Dear friends, it's a pleasure for me to be here with you all again. Today we have an exciting topic, right? Are there those green beings with deep eyes that we see in movies walking around us or flitting around us? Are they real? Unidentified flying objects or UFOs have fascinated and puzzled people for decades. How many of you have been puzzled? When I was young, when I was going to school, people were talking about UFOs and flying saucers, and I was wondering someday I will see it. That was an exciting topic for me. I hope many of you have such similar feelings towards those topics. Over the last 2 centuries, many people have talked about the sightings of flying objects or colorful streaks of light and many things else. One person even reported that he was chased down and abducted by an UFO. However, when the investigation team came and investigated, such sightings were found to be clouds, comets, meteors, or even some military flares or chaffs. In October 2007, a fast-moving object was spotted at eastern Kolkata, India, and a video footage was released on a TV channel, triggering frenzy, but later it was identified to be the planet Venus. A few years back, there was some news in American TV channels that Haim Escher, an 87-year-old professor and retired general and former head of Israel's Defense Ministry's Space Directorate, told one of Israel's newspaper, which appeared in Jerusalem Post. Haim Escher claimed that an agreement has been reached between the US government and the aliens, and they had made a contract to do experiments. And he also said they have a secret underground base on Mars where there are Americans and also alien representatives at present working and doing experiments. He said that aliens were equally curious about humanity and were seeking to understand the fabric of the universe. Escher finally added a funny note that President Trump was aware of the extraterrestrial existence and he had been on the verge of revealing, but was asked not to reveal because of mass hysteria. On the 20th of September 2019, about 1,500 people flocked to an Area 51, a secretive military facility in the desert of Nevada, north of Las Vegas, in search of aliens. This was because of the viral Facebook event, Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. So that Facebook event went viral and many were rushing to the site claiming that they wanted to see the bodies of the alien pilots and after they had crashed. But the US government refused it, saying there was no aliens. So even I, out of curiosity, I watched many YouTube channels about stories of aliens or UFOs. One lady said that aliens regularly visit her in her bedroom, and another lady said she has 3 children and 2 are from aliens. So a lot of funny stories are there out. So when investigators properly investigate such sightings and stories, mostly are conspiracy theories. Why they persist such stories? Because some people are so fascinated by the subject. The increase in big budget alien movies in the last 2 decades shows how Hollywood has tapped into this interest. It's easy to fool ourselves that I saw something, my brain misinterpreted the data, or so many things. That's what even when I was in school, this news was flying everywhere. So now, is there life out there in the cosmos or there extraterrestrials? It's a puzzle. Many experts from different disciplines over the past 3 decades are struggling hard to find the answers. In the meanwhile, people also give a lot of conclusions, and you can read many conclusions from those who do not believe in the God of the Bible. The astronomer Carl Sagan and even now Neil deGrasse, all these people say that that we are floating in an immense cosmos like a mote of dust. Carl Sagan once said, elsewhere there are an infinite number of other universes, each having its own God, dreaming the cosmic dream. It is said that men may not be the dreams of gods, but rather the gods are the dreams of men. The cosmic question, space exploration leads directly to religious and philosophical questions. That's why we need answer for this. We need answer to understand whether our faith would accommodate all these things. Because some people are shaken to the core when someone tells that extraterrestrials are existing. You know, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev said once, this very idea that God is a big man up there has come because somebody has told that the existence is human-centric. But in reality, it is not. Existence is definitely not human-centric. This idea of Earth being the center of the universe and human beings being made in the image of God has made humanity so absolutely crude and insensitive to every other life on this planet. If only such things were not taught to us. If somebody has told us that God looks like every other creature on this planet and not like us, we might treat them with gentleness. That's what he said. He's propagating. You go to the net and see extraterrestrials by many people. They propagate such views. So now I'm going to answer in this talk 3 questions. Are we alone in the universe? Are there extraterrestrials? Because I want to go after hard evidence, not normal. Get into the scientific evidence to tell you whether we are alone or are there extraterrestrials. Then second, even if aliens are found somewhere, what about the biblical faith? Third, is the idea human-centric wrong? Are we not made in the image of God? Are we not treating our planet with care because we are made in God's image and we are given dominion over the things of the earth? So let me answer these 3 questions in the course of my talk. So kindly hold on. So now, first question, let me answer. It will take some time because I am going into scientific backgrounds, but I will bring it to the extent that everyone can understand. We have been sending signals into space for almost 100 years. Since we started broadcasting radio, a lot longer than 100 years. You know, Enrico Fermi, a Nobel Prize winning physicist, he is the architect of the nuclear age. He built the first nuclear reactor secretly in an abandoned field at the University of Chicago. It was top secret, part of the Manhattan Project. In 1950, this scientist, one day during a casual lunch with fellow nuclear scientists, he blurted, "Where is everybody? But where is everybody?" The result of this question made everyone to laugh, but they all knew that he was talking about extraterrestrial life. In the ensuing conversation, Fermi did some rough calculations. He estimated the number of stars, the fraction of stars with planets, the fraction of these planets with the right distance from the stars. And so he arrived as a rough approximation or the number of planets that can host life. Fermi's point was that since there are trillions of stars in the universe, unless the Earth is astonishingly special, the universe should be teeming with life, and even intelligent life with technology necessary for space travel. So the number he arrived was so great. So Fermi concluded that many should have visited so long. Where are the extraterrestrials? Where are these green men that we normally speak about? So today, that's my talk. So humans have been asking this from the beginning of history. Where are they? So that's why this question is very, very important. In 1961, astronomer Frank Drake, he proposed that the radio waves of around 1.42 gigahertz can chat with stars. He was telling that that particular wavelength, we can have radio astronomy. Thus, radio astronomy was born. So he took the Fermi's calculations and he brought it into a form of equation. And today we are going to explore this Drake equation, and through that I can explain you whether really extraterrestrials exist or not. So the Drake equation has only 7 variables. It's just a multiplication factor. This allows us to get an estimate of the probability of intelligent communicating life in our galaxy. So what are these 7 factors? The first, how many stars are sun-like stars are forming in the Milky Way galaxy? And then the fraction of those with planets, and the number of those planets that are suitable for life. And then the fraction of those planets where life actually comes into existence. Then the next is number of intelligent life, not any life, intelligent life. Then the length of time needed for the civilization to come into existence. This is this calculation. So now the first one is number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Now scientists have estimated that in the Milky Way galaxy alone, we have around 100 to 500 million stars. You know, when I was young, I remember sleeping on in a village, my parents' house, my grandfather's house, very close to Tuticorin, and it's in a village, and we are 7 of us, and my younger brother was not born, the younger sister was very young, so all 5 of us were sleeping in that cot, looking at the stars and trying to count what are the constellations we can see. Because we had memorized from the big books which my father used to get from his library, what are the different constellations and who would finish most of the constellation first. So this sort of games we used to do. So I remember the excitement that I had as a child. So now people have understood, even in the Milky Way galaxy alone, we have more than 100 to 500 million stars. Now, what are these stars? So many of us don't have idea like how stars come into existence. So I want to give just 2 minutes. What are the stars and why they exist and what they do it? You know, the stars form when an extremely cold molecular cloud of dust and gas is mainly bunched together because of gravity. Gravity condenses them, making them denser. And then when the temperature increases so high, very high, like the nuclear reactor, we see that much high, it starts doing nuclear reaction. When a nuclear reaction starts at the core of the star, energy much greater than 15 million nuclear bombs is produced in the core of a star. Can you imagine one nuclear bomb, RDS-202? That was the biggest bomb that was exploded by the Soviet Union on 30th October 1961. You know, that would have killed around 5.8 million people if it was dropped in a busy town. Now, like that, 15 billion nuclear bombs is produced in the core of a star. Imagine. Now, there are 2 types of stars. Our sun is the smallest here. It's a moderate star. It will not explode like a supernova. It will die as a white dwarf. So now there are some stars which are too huge. They explode once after some time. The fuel inside, the hydrogen is the fuel. It gets over. So what happens? They start exploding as big supernovas. And when they start exploding violently, they are called, the dying gasp of a star is called supernova. Some of the ways when it is exploding, if the mass is greater than that, it will become a black hole. If the mass is less, it will become a neutron star. So that is the way every star was born and star is dying. And every time you can see in the galaxies, a star is being born and another star is dying as a black hole or a neutron star. Now, in our body, Carl Sagan said once that we are all star stuff. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies were all made in the interior of stars. And he said that we are all made of star stuff. That sentence is partially true, but not fully true. We have a soul, we have a mind, we have a spirit. But a designer, if he would have made, he would have used the same design throughout the universe. So that implies, I believe. So here, because when it is exploding, what happens is this supernova, because of the supernova, calcium and every other material is spewed across the universe. And that's why without a supernova, we wouldn't have been here. Now, how do you expect gold is coming? Gold doesn't get formed in the core of a star. So scientists were so long wondering, how do we get gold? And finally, in 2017, astronomers found that two neutron stars, when they collide with one another, energies to a very high level gets generated. And at that time, gold gets generated, even to an amount of a star. And they saw two neutron stars colliding through many telescopes across the globe. So this is about stars. Now coming to this, how many stars are there in the universe? So let me just take you to our universe. Let me take you a walk through the universe, because I should explain you what is a universe. You know, light travels at the speed of, you can see 186,000 miles per second, or 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second. Or so this is the way light travels. It's the highest speed. So nothing can exceed the speed of light. Now, a light, if it starts from the sun, it reaches Earth in 8 minutes. So now when you're looking at some sun, the light, what you see would have started from there 8 minutes back. And 1 light year is called the light it takes to travel 1 year. If light travels 1 year, where it will reach, let's see now. See, now this is a Milky Way galaxy. To go from one end of the Milky Way to the other end at the speed of light, it takes 100,000 years. Now you think, just it takes 8 minutes for the light to travel from the sun to the earth. To go from one end of our galaxy to the other end, it takes 100,000 years. That huge is Milky Way. Now, this Milky Way, you can see it's just a tiny dot in a Virgo cluster. The nearest galaxy to us is the Andromeda galaxy. You know, it takes 2.5 million years light to reach us. Now, if you want to understand Andromeda galaxy, you send a starship at the speed of light, you need 2.5 million years for the light to come back to you. So that's why it's so difficult to understand the universe. Now, you know, this Virgo cluster is part of this LANIAKEA supercluster. Again, you can see this LANIAKEA, 65 million years to reach us in from Virgo. So here, now this is a whole universe, observable universe. This is just the observable universe. What about the universe that is not observed? That's why sometimes Carl Sagan says that we float as a mote of dust in the whole cosmos, and we are insignificant. Today, we will see whether we are insignificant or we are significant. And you know, some people believe that because of that, there is no purpose, there is no belief. Everything comes and goes, and we are automatically there. So this question is very, very important. So now, first one, see, we saw here, this is the question. We are going to check each and every parameter one by one. I was explaining you rate of formation of sun-like stars. So normally from the dust of the gases, they say that 1 star per year is formed. Now we need to find out how many stars has planets around it. Because our planet rotates around a sun. That's why we are able to get the energy from the sun. So you need a planet that rotates around a star for life to exist. So such planets are called exoplanets. So let me now come next is how many of these worlds have the right environment. The third one is, see, the first one is number of stars. The second one is the planet rotating around the star. And then the planet should be in the right environment. What do you mean by right environment? Let me explain. Because first you have a sun, and then you have star like sun, and then you have a planet rotating around it, and the planet should be in the right environment. So let me just take our example. So now coming to our sun. You know, our sun is called population 1 yellow dwarf. It's not a big sun that will die as a supernova. So it has still 5 billion years left. So we can still be here 5 billion years. And you know, it's relatively stable star. And some of the stars fluctuate in luminosity. So that is not a candidate for hosting life. So our sun is a perfect star for life to exist. And you know, this is a Milky Way galaxy. In one of the arm where our sun is located is the perfect arm. If our sun would have been little closer to the center, that is a behemoth black hole, it will pull us inside. If the sun is little located outside, there will be no elements for life to exist. So in the right place, our sun is located in the Milky Way. And also the right sun we have got. Now, next is liquid water. All life that we have discovered on Earth requires liquid water to thrive. All of us know without water we cannot exist, and water should be in liquid form. If it is in ice form or if it is in vapor form, we cannot drink or we cannot live. So that's why it should be able to stay in liquid form. And next we have the habitable zone. You know, in our sun, around our sun, now there are only 8 planets. Pluto is no more a planet. So in that 8 planets, 4 are terrestrial planets, and those terrestrial, I'll explain what is. It's surrounded by an asteroid belt. It has around 500,000 asteroids in that belt. And then again, we have 4 giant planets. Here, let me explain you what is terrestrial. So Earth, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are called as terrestrial planets because they are rocky planets. But the other planets like Jupiter and others they don't have any surface. They are full of gas. They have enormous gravity. So they are not good candidates for life to exist. So your planet, if life has to exist, it should be a terrestrial planet. That's very, very important. And the first, the sun is important. Liquid water is important. Then it should be a terrestrial planet. So I'm giving the characteristics that support life. The second, it should be, as I said, that it should be in the habitable zone. Earth's distance from the sun is exactly allowing water to be in the liquid form. If it is little closer to the sun, the water will be vaporized. If it is away, the water will become ice. So the biosphere of Earth has the correct composition of the atmosphere. And also Earth's atmospheric gases protect the planet. So you can see here among all the planets, only Earth is within the habitable zone. As I said that, then this habitable zone, water exists in liquid form. Otherwise, close to the sun, water boils. Away from the sun, water freezes. So this is very important, the temperature of a planet. So you can see here again, Earth is in the perfect exact distance from the sun. That's why Earth is in the habitable zone. The third, magnetic field. You know, we all never knew that magnetic field is so important. Planets need protection from solar wind. Sun gives a very heavy wind, and solar wind streams of charged particles consist of electrons and protons. So unless a planet has a molten metal interior that develops a magnetic field, it's very difficult. It will not be able to protect the Earth from from a horrible solar wind. So our Earth, you can see here, this lines of magnetic field and everything. And the core, it has a very solid metal core. And it's surrounded by liquid outer core. So we saw the third characteristics. First, we saw life, and then we saw the terrestrial thing. And then we saw this magnetic field. And the fourth, the mass of Earth. You know, mass of Earth is very, very important. You can see here, I have given the mass of the Earth. So if it is a low mass, then there is gravity. Everything mass is related to gravity. Then lesser gravity, if you have, you cannot have atmosphere over it. That's why Mars earlier had atmosphere, but now there is no atmosphere. So smaller planets lose energy, and it cannot be so big also, huge. Then the gravity will be too huge. So it has to be the right size. And then characteristics that support life, atmosphere. We know how beautifully, sometimes when you look at the Earth, you will know how beautifully God has created. Our Earth is surrounded by an ozone layer so that ozone from the sun's light will not strike us. Many places you can see the ozone hole, they have got skin cancers. And also we have the greenhouse effect and so many things that keeps the earth warm. So our earth atmosphere is made of nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide. So all these things exactly supports life while it absorbs all the harmful radiation. Unless somebody should have planned it. Can you imagine how this planning behind it, this intelligent design behind it, when we just speak about it, we just stand in awe at the creator and the designer. Then the sixth, Earth's composition. Four elements are vital for life. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, everything is available on Earth. Then finally, the tectonic activity. We all think that earthquake and volcanoes are not good, but actually they are very good, because that's why from the minerals, we get minerals from the core of the Earth. And it recycles important chemicals and materials, and it helps increase environmental complexity. Our Earth is tectonically active. That's why we get volcanoes and we get earthquakes. And finally, the most important thing is moon and orbit. Our rotation, our Earth is rotating on its axis and revolving on its axis, and it's rotating around the sun. So it is tilted at an angle. It is that tilt is very, very important. That's because of the tilt we have seasons. Otherwise, our planet will be colder at one side and hot the other side. Now, the whole Earth, at least most of the places, life can exist. And this rotation of the Earth has to be stabilized. That stability is because of moon. So the Earth is kept on its axis, and the axis is made stable by the moon. So moon plays a crucial role. And the Earth tilts varies from 21.5 to 24.5. It's very, very important. Now, coming to the final thing. Earth is habitable. You know, you are in the correct arm of the Milky Way galaxy, and you are in this with the right star, and you also have liquid water, and you have correct composition, and you have a magnetic field and the right atmosphere. And what else? Nearly orbit is circular, so many things. Now, how many planets can have this complexity? Can you imagine? Unless you have this complexity, you cannot have life. Just now, we are coming to the fourth parameter. Just now, what I know is it's only Earth that has this parameter. So now, how often the simple life form becomes intelligent? There are many simple life forms. You know, this particular is called tardigrades. This is a form of extremophils. These are microbes that live in the most extreme places on Earth. They can be in the boiling temperature, they can live in freezing temperature, and they can live in salty atmosphere. They're exciting. So because that's why they were carried, this particular little insect is called tardigrade. So it's a little like a water bear. It can survive almost anywhere. They can live mainly in fresh water and moss, but they have been found on top of the mountains and the bottom of the sea, in hot spring, and even in very high temperature, like 150 degrees centigrade, and very cruel space atmosphere. They have been carried, but still, even in the space, they have multiplied. That's why some people think that such microbes were there in some other planets, and because people were not able to find how life evolved in our planet. So they think that life evolved. They never think life was created. So how do we explain the first time how a life came into existence? So they believe that such tardigrades or such extremophils from some other planet came and seeded life on our Earth. But now I wanted to ask you, if such things have to come from some other planet, how would you tell that life started in that planet? You know, it's so difficult. If life has to start in the planet, again, somebody has to be there, creator has to be there. So even you are just pushing the question one step backwards. So now this complex life, how it became, we are very intelligent. So this from tardigrades are much different from a human being like us. So the first one is normal life, then the second one is intelligent life. So the intelligent life, how it came into existence. This civilization, the final parameter, should be able to willing to communicate. They should have a spacecraft and communicate with us. Then only we can listen to them. So with all these things put together, and then finally you multiply with average lifetime of a man. So for it's 100 years, let's assume. So for example, one civilization in some other star, if at all it exists, it might survive for 100 years. So putting all these things together, now what they have brought: annual rate of star formation, fraction of stars and planets, environment suitable, and fraction of life, fraction of intelligent life, number of years and life can exist. So now with all these things, you know, they have brought in some of the people who think that billions of civilizations or millions of civilizations can be there, has brought has given a millions of civilization, because in Milky Way itself, if 10 to 17 civilizations are there over the universe, how many galaxies are there? So that should be millions of civilization. But if you say pessimistically, it should be we are alone. So let's see whether we are alone or we are having millions of civilization. So this is a very important question. If we are alone, an atheistic scientist was telling that Earth should be a miracle. It should be an accident. Even usually scientists do not accept a miracle, but by chance we find out that we are alone, then it is truly a miracle. You know, you are standing somewhere and you are surrounded by people with guns, and all of them are pointing their guns at you. And they are telling that you're going to kill you. They started to shoot you. After some time, you just open your eyes and nothing has fallen on you. So they have all planned within themselves that they will not shoot at you. That's a purpose. But you think that it is a lucky. I have become lucky. So that's what has happened. When a designer has planned so beautifully, either we can say that we are lucky. So which is more logical? Either we are lucky or a miracle or an accident, or somebody has done it on purpose. Is there something we might be missing? Because, you know, our Earth has a planet called Jupiter over us. That Jupiter is so huge, it's a gas planet. And because of the position of Jupiter, on July 16th, 1994, there was a very big comet called Shoemaker-Levy 9. It hit the Jupiter. It should have hit our Earth, but Jupiter took the brunt on it, and a small portion of the Jupiter was taken away. So that is because of the planet Jupiter is kept there. Otherwise, we would have become like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs went away from this Earth because of a meteor. So somebody has done some planning. And people were trying to find out why life is not on Earth. They found that Mars has a feeble gravity. And that's why earlier it had ocean, earlier it had atmosphere, everything went away. So now why our Earth has the right size, right mass, so that we can have the atmosphere, we can have water, and we are in some Goldilocks zone. Now let's come back to the Fermi's question. In 1950, Enrico Fermi, he proposed this question: where is everybody? We spoke about it. Now he was telling this during a lunchtime chat. Stephen Hawking also argued in the same way. He said that sheer vastness of the universe guarantees that we have company. The cry, is there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? That's what the question. So that's why they started big projects, 100 billion, 200 billion projects called SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So these scientists searched for extraterrestrial radio emissions, hoping to find some intelligent life elsewhere. They believe somewhere out there, some alien civilization might have existed, and from there, life could have even come to the Earth. And that's why we are here. So now they have sent out in 4 ways they are trying to find out extraterrestrial life. First one, they are trying to listen for intelligent signals. Then second, they are trying to send out our friendly greetings to the stars above, that we are here, we are here. They're giving a clarion call to them. Come, we are here. And fourth, looking for, using latest telescopes, searching for habitable planets. And finally, if an alien has visited the Earth, it would have left some artifacts. So these are the things, 4 ways scientists are finding out. So this is called SETI. It's using the 18 to 21 centimeter wavelength range for interstellar communication. You can see, you know, SETI Home. That's a project. Anybody can take it up from your home using your internet. SETI Home, you can go to and cross through the internet. They are sending the signals, what they are receiving from their antennas. And many people are working, around 500 million people are working, because whoever are interested, they can log in. Now, for some time I checked up, or sometime it has been put on hold. But many, many young kids have been working on the SETI from home. You can Google and check it out. And this is very interesting projects. You know, but people were worried, might be if you try to search for them, they can be turning out to be dreary. Sometimes some people were telling, no, they might be helping us. They might be, it's a wonder. But some people were really worried. Let us not do all these things. Let us not do all these things, because we might get into problems. So we have been broadcasting now. First, when I have said 4 ways, let us go one by one. First one is listening for intelligent signals. So we have been broadcasting our presence when right from the radio was discovered. That was around 100 years back. So now, is anyone in the space watching the TV right now? Or is there any intentional messages? You know, Frank Drake, he started the Drake equation. He was so inspired in 1960, he pointed a radio telescope at the stars. He was trying to listen to the chatter, if at all something, the stars is sending out any chatter. So that he was the one who performed the first ever SETI project. So he named the project as Ozma, the mythical princess of the Wizard of Oz stories. So she's the mythical princess. Her name he has given for that project, Ozma. And he targeted 2 nearby stars like sun, like our sun. So they are called as Epsilon Eridani, which is around 10.5 light years away. The other one is Tau Eti, which is around 12 light years away. So he has been listening to these stars for a long time, for almost 3 to 4 years. But there were no expressions, there were no message. It was sheer silence. So one day he got a signal, but found out it was US spy planes, which was a top secret. And so now SETI researchers have spent millions and millions of money trying to listen to something, but they haven't yet got it. Now, let us try to send out some signals. Till this time we listened, we didn't get. Why don't we send our signals, and then some extraterrestrials will find out, and then they will come to us. So then we can find that we are alone or not. So might be the Earth is the sole exception, or in a big dead universe. So because we know in my last talk, I said that whole universe is fine-tuned for life. That's also so interesting. All the laws of physics, all the constant of physics is so exactly hanging on the knife edge so that life will exist in this universe. So that's why we know that the whole universe is started by a creator. For that, some of the atheistic scientists have brought in multi-universe model or multi-dimensional concepts. But even then, who started those things? Everything had to be fine-tuned. So that's why every question was transferred one step backwards. So now here, because the whole universe is fine-tuned for life, might be somewhere life can exist. So why don't we send signals? So what happened is this particular RCBA message was written by Frank Drake. He wrote with the help of Carl Sagan. In those days, these two are great astronomers who were on this space race. So he said that he made something like this, which can be easily deciphered by anyone who can interpret it. It was encoded in binary with a simple pictorial diagram. It has a DNA and a picture of a person. You know, then they sent out in the Voyager spacecraft a golden record. This is the Voyager spacecraft. Let me just show you a small thing. You know, this Arecibo radio telescope, through that one, they have sent the messages. Now, they sent out this Voyager spacecraft in 1977. Why they chose in 1977? Because the 4 planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, were aligned. So now this is the golden record. This went into the Voyager 1 and 2. You know, they thought that we'll put everything about our planet in this little golden record, and the people outside can see the golden record, and it's written how to work, how to, if they get this record, how to use that. Everything has been written. And in this golden record, whatever things which is found on Earth has been put, like music, the music of this Earth, and a token of our sounds, our signs, our music, our thoughts, our feelings. It has been coded and put and then sent across. You know, but still, no answer to us. We have been sending signals like this again and again, but we haven't got any answer from them. So this Voyager 1 and 2 in 1977, it was sent because the 4 outer planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, were aligned in a way that it will never be aligned till 2153. So for so many years, that alignment will never come. That's why they chose the year 1977, and they sent the 2 space probes during that year. Now it's beyond our solar system. It's into the interstellar. In 2018, it crossed the solar system. Now, even now, it just has a 3 times more power than our batteries, than your mobile batteries. But it can send us even now signals from there. So people are thinking the golden record is inside this Voyager 1 and 2. If somewhere they end up, some alien will look at it and find that we are here, and they'll come in search of us. That is the idea behind it. But eternal silence from all these great infinite spaces still remain. This is the James Webb Telescope. When I went to NASA in 2015, I had a look at it. It is very huge mirrors. It's going to the space this year, 2021. It's going to be launched. And now across the globe, we have many telescopes. Scientists are now hoping that alien life somewhere will exist. And that's why they are sending one by one the spacecrafts across the Earth. And you know, even in our own solar system, there is Mars. People are thinking earlier, Mars might be having some life somewhere. That's why even they had a funny video from that Israeli defense minister that Trump and the alien have a connection, and they have made a base in Mars. So they have sent a lot of missions to Mars. And even China sent many missions to Mars, and the Perseverance rover was also sent. And people are thinking might be there are huge oceans in the moons of Saturn and other planets in Jupiter. So might be in the moon, under the oceans, there can be some life. So they are sending now huge spacecraft to Saturn and to Jupiter's moons to find out whether Europa, that moon is called Europa, that many other where life can exist. But still now they have never found any life. Now the Fermi paradox remains. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So have we been visited by ETs? No, till now we have never been visited. So what about this Fermi paradox? Fermi paradox still remains, and we have to, so people are thinking still now, many scientists, they have built this huge telescopes. With these huge telescopes, they are trying to find, is there any other stars? I wanted to show you one small video. You can look at this video. Here, there are some planets which are rotating around their own star. So now, for example, if that planet can be looked at it for a longer time, you can see when it is crossing the sun, their star, it will be little dimmed. So this is called the Proxima b. This is the nearest to our solar system. So this is the only thing they have found right now, which is rotating and which they think some life can exist. So this is the sun's nearest stellar neighbor. But we cannot send, even if you send our spacecrafts, we are not able to reach back in our lifetime. So they are thinking now using laser beams. If I can make a spacecraft, at least it will take 4 years if I get a signal to come back. So many experiments have gone, many telescopes across the globe are looking out. You know, Breakthrough Listen is a project which was started by a man, his own effort. He spent some $200 billion. He is a billionaire and his name is Yuri Milner. This Yuri Milner, he has a lot of money, so he invested in the SETI project because NASA was not funded for this by the government. So Milner spent his own money and he started this project. Now he is still funding it. Let's see if some life can come with so many telescopes. But I feel how till now there is no life out there. So we have never been visited. So we are looking through Kepler, we are looking through SETI at home. So will science fiction someday become science fact? Might be our tools can become more sensitive. Might be we can explore more solar systems. But finally, for me, one take-home message I wanted to tell you is, when these three astronomers on Christmas Eve 1968, when they went on Apollo 8, and they became the first human beings to see the far side of the moon. The moment was so historic. It was so perilous also, but it was so historic. And emerging from the moon's farther side, they looked at the earth. It's so beautiful, awe-inspiring earthrise image. Nothing came to their mind. They opened their Bible and started reading the first 10 verses from Genesis 1. And it was broadcasted as a live telecast throughout the earth. And almost an estimated 1 billion viewers looked at it, the largest single audience in human history. So what do I want to say? Let me conclude just in 5 minutes what I have spoken till now, and I would like to give you the answers for the first 3 questions. I have asked the first 3 questions. Are we alone? Are there extraterrestrials? The second question, if extraterrestrials are there, what about the message of the gospel? And the third question, are we made in the image of God? If there are extraterrestrials, then what about that? And because God has given us dominion over this earth, are we so rude as some of the people are telling? So these are the 3 questions right now. Let me just get into depth and let me speak to you for next 5 minutes and close it. You know, SETI project is trying to understand our place in the scheme of things. We all want to know, where am I? Who am I? Where am I placed in this universe? That's why, you know, we know that there is a creator and he has given us a purpose. When you think that there is no creator, then you wanted to know somewhere out there, somebody else is there, so powerful. And you're also scared whether that powerful being will overtake you. But when you know that there is a creator who has created you, he has a meaning in everything. He has a purpose in everything. So there are 2 things. Now, till now, not even one little thing from the SETI project has come. No life elsewhere. So now there are 2 things. If they find life, what for us? If they do not find, what? If at all they do not find, all those atheistic scientists should become a believer of Christ. Because now I would say that earth is a miracle in this whole huge cosmos. If there are no life elsewhere and this one little part has life, then we are so special. So that is God has, and to this earth, the creator who made the whole bunch of things has come in the form of a human being. How can you span the distance between a great and mighty God and a helpless baby on the manger and the God on the cross? It's so difficult to span all the distance between these 3. A God, mighty God, and a helpless babe, and then a man on the cross. We know the love of God. He came down. We are not insignificant. We are significant in the cosmic scenario. That's why he came down. That's why we can say now, like David. In Psalm 8, David says, "Oh God, my God, How excellent is your name in all the earth, who have set your glory above the heavens. Your glory is above the heavens. Out of the mouth of babes and nursing infants, you have ordained strength. Because of your enemies, you may silence the enemy and avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have ordained, what is man that you're mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him? So beautiful. I don't have any words to say, because Christian theology has no biblical or theological basis upon which we can reject the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Because many times Bible is silent. In many of the cases, Bible is silent. That doesn't mean they'll exist or they will exist or they will not exist. There is no need for us to bother, because for us, we know there are angels, there are demons, there are so many other spiritual beings out there. They can live in many higher dimensions. We are not sure. There is no need to worry, because God has a purpose and he lives with us. He is both transcendent and is immanent. That's why he has given us dominion. They said that somebody was telling God has given you dominion. That's why we are troubling other planets. If at all God would have said to us, I am like the other creature, then you wouldn't have troubled creature. It is not that. The first in Genesis 1:26 and 27, there is a beautiful theology. He said us to be stewards of his creation. We are supposed to take care of his creation, not to spoil it. We are supposed to love his creation. We should be people-centric. We should use the resources for the people's sake. That gives a meaning to altruism. Why Father Damien had to go to the Milky Island for the case of lepers? What gave him that push? If Jesus wouldn't have come to this little planet, forgetting his own benefit and dying for our sake on the cross, that gave him the impetus to go to that Molaka island to die for the lepers. What made many missionaries what made them to come and die? Because they know there is a God out there who did that for them. If you are not believing in a God out there, how would you explain this? And God said, I love you with an everlasting love. In Zephaniah 3:17, I sing over you with love. And in Song of Solomon, you are my beloved. And then again in Zechariah, you're my signet ring. And in Isaiah, you're my beloved. I love you. I love you. Again, we have this message. We are made in the image of God. That doesn't mean we have, God has same hands, God has same legs like us. It is not based on physical. Bible says God is a spirit, and those who worship him should worship him in spirit and truth. God is not a human being with DNA like us, but he has given us his characteristics and functionality. That's why image and likeness. What is the characteristics? The worst evil is loneliness. Even whatever I have struggled in my life, the worst thing that I've struggled is loneliness. Until God became my closest friend, I had struggled. Because relationship is the most important thing in the world. Why? Because the triune God is a God of relationship. He is a God who wants relationship. And he's a creative God. He made everything so beautifully. He hasn't made black and white. That's why we are also creative. He made it so beautiful. We love beauty. That's made in the image of God. And if somebody tells you're special, that's great. It's great to be free. It's great. Many people die of low self-esteem. It's not boosting our ego. It's like telling that I am a wanted person. Somebody needs me. I am also precious to someone. That gives the purpose to live. And God said, among the great galaxies, so many galaxies out there, I have made you special. You're my princess. You're my prince. What a beautiful God we serve. We are not here by luck or accident. And even we can find an extraterrestrial, we might not find an extraterrestrial. That doesn't mean that we are not made in the image of God. If we have a parent have a child and a new girl child arrives, the parent, that first child cannot tell that because of that, you don't love me. They might, mostly I believe they are not there. Even if they are there, it's nothing wrong for the gospel of Christ. It still remains the same. So even though the first question, we are alone, And what are the implications? Even though we might be alone or we might not be alone, God loves us to the maximum. He came and died for our sake on the cross. We are the object of God's love. And this perspective changes everything. And He loves us. He wants to embrace us. He wants to be with us. He says, I want to live with you and live in you. So this is a wonderful concept. And I believe today, if at all one day all the scientists will come to know that the earth is very rare. There is no other planet on this whole universe like earth. We are alone. We are special. We are unique. Now, will they look to the one who created this unique God, earth? Or like Carl Sagan, they might also say we are an insignificant planet in the humdrum star, lost in a galaxy, tucked away in some forgotten corner of a universe in which far more galaxies are out there. It's everything depends on the worldview. So today I encourage each and every one of you who hear this, understand your worldview matters. How you look at the world, which color eyes you're looking at the world matters. There is more evidence to God than scientists have for extraterrestrials. I would repeat again, there is more evidence for God than scientists have for extraterrestrials. So today, the magnificence of the universe should instill a curiosity and imagination. God, you're so wonderful. You have made this beautiful universe and you have made us so special. How many exoplanets Kepler has discovered? 4,000 exoplanets. But still, there is no life anywhere. FERMI paradox still remains. Is there anybody out there? So let's close our eyes and just think of this wonder of this creator, wonder of this creations, and wonder how special we are, how special our earth is, how special he has made our life to be. Sometimes we think that we are no worth for anyone, but God says, you're so wonderful, you're so precious. I love you with an everlasting love. The world may hate you, but I love you. Father God, we give this time into your hands. And Father, whoever are listening, Father, today speak to them. And Lord, let your word speak to them so powerfully. And Lord, we worship you, we glorify you, Lord. You have made the heaven and stars and everything and the whole bunch of galaxies. But still, you have made a puny little human being like us. And you loved us to the maximum extent that you came down to this planet and died horribly on the cross and was resurrected on the third day so that we will live again. We have a purpose in this earth. And thank you, Lord. Thank you for the cross. And thank you for the resurrection. And thank you, Lord, today for those who are listening. Do amazing things in their life. Thank you, Jesus. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Latha, for that really interesting conversation about extraterrestrials. Yeah, I would encourage if we have time for some questions. Okay, so this is a few questions, but the first one is it wrong for Christians to be involved in the search for aliens?
It's not wrong. Please be involved. You will come to know more of the living God. But why you want to waste time? If it gives you wonder, you can do it. And I feel they are spending a lot of money on that. That money can be used for so many other things. But anyhow, it is also wonder and adventure that makes us to live. So if you are interested in that subject, you can go ahead. There's nothing wrong.
Okay, awesome. And then what about crop circles? People have said that those are made by aliens.
What about? What's the question? Can you repeat?
The question is, what about crop circles? People always say that those were made by aliens.
They are
Do you
all
have an opinion on that?
conspiracy theories, I said earlier. So aliens, they have never found any trace of any aliens. So how do you think that there are circles made by them?
And then the third question is about, aren't angels and devils extraterrestrials? And what about Nephilim?
So they are angels and demons are spiritual beings. They are not physical. They are not physical beings. So they can be here. They might be in different dimension, or they can be here in a spirit form. So we might not be knowing that. So those are the beings what is given in the Bible are true, but they are in the spirit form. They are not in the physical form. That's why Bible says, do not look to those things, but look to God. And God will send angels.
Great. Someone asked, there's some opinions that some manifestations of UFOs or aliens are actually demonic manifestations to scare people and destroy their faith. Do you think this is true?
I feel sometimes it can be true. People can be hallucinating, and sometimes some demonic possession can also result in such imagining that aliens have visited them and all such things. So it can be true. I'm not sure about it. It can be little psychologically also confusion. Some people would have got some problem psychological, or it can be demonic possession. I'm not sure about it. But till now, there is no ET, there is no UFOs. So we are not sure. And Rebecca has written, it's ironic that scientists spend billions in trying to find aliens and they refuse to acknowledge God, who is strictly speaking an alien because he is very different and much higher than us.
Hi, Akka.
Hi, Rebecca.
Good talk. I really enjoyed it. Do you think that these UFOs and visitations could be us from the future? That we could have discovered time travel and we might be visiting ourselves in the past? I've always thought that maybe that's a possibility as opposed to other extraterrestrials, that it could be we ourselves who are visiting us.
Actually, time travel, H.G. Wells has given in his time machine, and it says that by reversing the lever, you can go back. And now that is also possible, people say, through wormhole. Through wormhole, you can go to the higher dimension, and through that, you can go to the future. That's what Einstein's theory of relativity says. But
Yes.
nobody has just proved how to go to the past. But Einstein's theory of relativity says that from higher dimension, you can just go in the speed of light to the future, and you can traverse in time. But no one has done it, and so it's just a fiction.
Mm.
That's quite interesting.
I have always thought that it might be ourselves visiting us from the future, yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Joe. Joe, I just sent.
Hi, Dr. Latha. It was interesting. I've been following pretty much Carl Sagan and a whole bunch of others. Yeah, I believe them in some ways, but it's nice to know that there is some truth to what they say, but not the whole thing. The question I have is, what about Area 51 in the US? I don't know if you know about it, but it's a highly guarded military facility. They claim to have remains of aliens.
Yeah, I was telling about this. President Donald Trump was aware that extraterrestrials are existing, and that's what Ashad, he's from Israel's Air Force, and he's now 87, but earlier he was the defense secretary, and he has written a book also, and he was telling in one of the Jerusalem Post, it appeared that in the underground base in Mars, alien representative and American representatives are there, and they are having secret meetings, and so all these things are going on. Even at one point on 20th of September 2019, around 1,500 people flocked to this Area 51. It's a secret military facility in the desert of Nevada here near Las Vegas. They thought that there are some alien bodies kept there. So that event is called in Facebook Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. And they thought that some alien spacecraft has crash landed, and the bodies of that alien pilot is kept by the US Air Force. But these are all conspiracy theories. So even now there is no proof to it. So the government is clearly refused that nothing like that is there.
Thank you, Doctor.
Lataka, this is Prema.
Mm-hmm.
My son has a question.
Yeah. Ask him to.
Thank you so much, Akka, for very deep meaning. Just my son wanted to ask something.
Yeah, please allow him to ask.
Very good speech. It was very nice. You got all the facts out. I'm into extraterrestrials a lot. Every time there's a discussion about them, I just come sit there. So I have a question. So every time that you were talking about the multiverse theory, you said that the universe was created. People say that there's a multiverse, and who created that multiverse? So then just adds to the loophole that who created the creator? Because if according to you, if everything has to be created by someone, then who created that someone who created the multiverse? So that's my question.
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, see now, if I ask you who created you, you will tell your parents and your parents, their parents, and it goes back and back and back and back. And finally, if there is a God who created everything, then who created that God? So now there is only one thing. Either you should believe in an eternal universe or you should believe in an eternal God. So there are only two alternatives. Now, people were thinking that the universe was eternal. That's what earlier people were thinking that. But then Einstein brought in his general theory of relativity in 1915 that showed that we are living in a finite universe that had time, space, and matter started at one point. Einstein could not believe it. He introduced a cosmological constant to tell that universe is not expanding. But finally, he had to accept it when he saw the Hubble's observatory, that the whole universe is expanding. Now, some oscillating universe people, they are telling that, okay, you believe that universe started earlier, there was a universe, and then again the universe crunched, again the universe bubbled back, and again there is like a reincarnation, the universe goes again. But now, if you see the second law of thermodynamics, it goes from order to disorder. It doesn't go back. So now you cannot go back to the past. You cannot go beyond. So there is a finite point. So if there is a finite point, you have to believe the universe is not eternal. Then who is eternal? Bible clearly says the God of the Bible is eternal, is everlasting, is the first cause, is a self-existent. Like if you see in Aristotle, he said about two types of cause. If Michelangelo, he makes a sculptor called this David, you need someone who, David, he needs some material. That's a material cause. And Michelangelo himself is an efficient cause. But God is an efficient cause who does not need any material cause. He brought everything on its own. He brought it out of nothing. That's what we say. Because either there are two chances. They argue, you cannot, if you can only this way of explanation. Either you should believe in an eternal universe or in an eternal God. So if you cannot believe in an eternal universe, because science clearly points to the fact it's a finite universe and everything is so finely tuned. And so there should be a designer. So either the designer should be very intelligent, very powerful, and he should be a part of this universe. That's what quantum physics says. He's both transcendent and immanent. So this everything points to the God of the Bible. So that's my answer to this question.
Okay, we have a question in the chat. It says, I saw the last slide about man reading Bible verses once they landed on the moon. So did man really go to the moon, or is it yet another conspiracy?
Man has landed in moon, right? But moon cannot host, there's no life out there. So we have even brought rocks from the moon. And then that's why initially people were thinking that, the first life, how it came on Earth, when scientists, to Miller and Urey, two scientists, they thought that early universe does not have any oxygen. That's why they made a reducing atmosphere and they brought the first amino acid. But these scientists astronauts went to moon, they brought some rocks from there. That rock showed that early universe had oxygen. That's why now the Miller and Urey experiment has been proved false. So from the moon, we have got rocks.
Yes, ma'am. It was a nice talk. My son was here and he just left for his class at 8 o'clock. Gave me a whole list of questions. I think you have answered everything already. But one question that he wanted to ask is that you said that there's no proof of extraterrestrials coming, and there has been no proof as such of UFOs and aliens visiting. But still, yet there are so many conspiracy theories. So why why would people go to the extent of making these conspiracy theories? Is it the work of the devil, or is it just a group of atheists or a cult that is trying to do all this?
No, it is not that cult or atheist or devil. I feel that we are all very adventurous, right? And sometimes when you try to look for something, people, I have seen many times the clouds coming in different forms. And people say Jesus has come in the clouds, and Mary's tears are coming from her eyes and all such things. And similarly, it is like what you think, you get it. Like you feel that is some sort of psychology. So people might be thinking, searching for flying saucers. And even some few years back, some of the pilots, they found a lot of flying saucers. They came and said, and then they found it was some group of geese were going that side, and from afar it looked like some extraterrestrial thing. So this military, they dropped shafts. Why they dropped shafts? Because when I get into an enemy territory, an enemy is looking at me. Now, if an enemy is looking at me, they will send a missile and they will shoot me down. So I wanted to stop them from shooting me. So I can put some shafts down so that the radio frequency will start to look at the shaft instead of looking at me. So that's when there's people think, when they see the shaft, sometimes they think that that is also an flying saucer or extraterrestrials. So these are some of the things people believe. And sometimes even demons could have taken some other form and could have deceived people. It's difficult to understand that. When I was young, I used to get so much scared of demons, And one day when I was in my first floor when I was very young, I thought a demon is coming at the back of me, and I ran from there and fell down from the staircase. So you believe something, and often I feel something is pressing me from the top when I sleep, and I cry and get up. So these sort of feelings, you have the fear within you and it manifests. And similarly, this is also some sort of thought process and it's coming out. So if there are no other questions, can we end it? So thank you all of you for joining, and wonderful to have you all here. Thank you, Christie and Grimat. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Auntie.
Thank you,
Bye.
Doctor.
Thank you.